They try to drown me, I can swim upstream so profoundly. I can stay calm in a dire situation. I'm at it every day, no time for a vacation. And I smell blood in the water. Everything I do, yeah, I do it for my daughters. Now I'm gonna shut your lips. It's time for a brand new episode of what? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, said it's time for a brand new episode of Talking Jit.
Yo.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Good. Can you hear me? Good.
Yeah.
Loud and clear?
Hear you loud and clear?
Oh, beautiful, man. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, of course.
Pretty quick notice, too. You were on it.
Yes, sir. I always am.
How's your day going?
It's going good. I just left the bank now. Got everything squared away for this MMA gym I'm starting.
Oh, that's what you're doing, huh?
That's what I was doing, yeah. Got all
Okay.
the business accounts ready.
Damn, how's that coming along?
It's going good. I'm doing like a soft opening in December, probably about mid-December, and then a grand opening right after the holidays in January.
Oh, beautiful. You're going to get those, what's it called? The New Year resolutionist.
That's right. Everybody gonna want to be working off that holiday weight, and I'm ready to help them.
That's awesome, man. I didn't write an intro. I need to get better at writing intros for these things.
No, you're good.
That's going to be my Achilles heel, I guess. But for the listeners at home, this is Fouad. I met him at Supremacy, the jiu-jitsu gym I train at. Right off the bat, you know, you came in there, you definitely had an MMA look. You definitely had the MMA grit to you. And my good buddy Zach, dude, what does he do? He teaches classes at your Muay Thai gym, right?
Yeah, he was doing like a jiu-jitsu class over at MJM Muay Thai, and I knew who he was because I had trained at Oceans BJJ when I first got down here to Florida in 2019, and I was smashing everybody, and then this dude came in, right, and he was a purple belt at the time. And I was like, okay, so purple belt comes in. And I was smashing all the purple belts, or whatever that would come in. And then I went with this dude, and he mushed me. And I was like, all right, this is a savage.
Well,
So I was like,
to be
where'd he
fair,
train
bro,
at?
to be fair, you're like a career blue belt.
Yeah, I know, right? It's been, what, 8 years, blue belt?
I didn't feel so bad once I heard that. I was like, okay. This fucking hardcore scrambler. But sorry, so you said you met him and he told you about Supremacy?
Yeah, he told me about Supremacy, and we didn't I never even went to train with him and this and that. And then I saw him like the next time at MJM, and I was like, I know you. And he was like, yeah, I know you. And he was a brown belt at the time, and we had trained together. Like, again, I took his classes, and I was like, damn, this guy knows his shit, because he was obviously doing all the leg lock material and all the things that are like relevant and current in jiu-jitsu. So we started training together, and he invited me to train over at Supremacy with you guys, and I'm super grateful for it, to be honest.
Yeah, man, it's a blast training. You're a fun and good training partner. I like it. Actually, it's funny. The last episode I was talking to with my friend, we're talking about like when you train with MMA guys, usually they got like the right grit to make it like fun to train with, like the grit and the technicality to it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But yeah. So, and then I know you had a lot going on. I know you really like real estate. I heard that it's one of the things that Zach told me was were you sparring when you had that surgery or when you had that injury?
Dude, it was 1 week before my pro MMA debut, right? And it was in a no-gi jiu-jitsu class. So all the hard sparring and everything had been done. It was just about cutting weight at that point.
Oh
And
gosh.
so I went in for a good sweat. And this dude who was green, hadn't had much experience. I think he's just getting his blue belt and wanted to like join the fight team and show all the fighters that he was, he had skill and he could do moves. And so he tried this crazy flying Imanari roll on me when I was in like a squatted position, not moving. And he smashed his knee right through my face and broke like 5 or 6 bones in my face. Had to get surgery and metal secured bolts and plates and everything up in there. So that was awful.
God damn, dude. How hard did you have to Imanari roll? Like,
And that's the thing is he didn't even get to his back or his shoulders. He just, I don't know what he
flopped.
was thinking. It was more just like a flying knee through my face. Yeah.
So, what's your opinion on that? Like, because um, that's kind of like a thing you run into a lot, especially in combat sports. Is you usually get like kind of like amateur or beginner type people who are trying to prove themselves, and sometimes that becomes dangerous. But then sometimes it's like seems kind of necessary, don't you think?
Sure. I mean, the dynamic in an MMA gym is important. So it's all set by the coach. You know,
Hmm.
if you have the kind of vibe in a gym where you go in and you don't know if today's the day where you're going to get knocked out or today's the day where you're going to get your your ACL blown out because someone's throwing hard low kicks towards your knee or whatever. You know, if you have that kind of vibe in a gym, I don't think it's the greatest vibe to have. If you have more of a vibe where it's like, okay, we're all going to learn together and learn the techniques right and progress and have it be okay to go slow and have it be okay to have an environment where you feel comfortable to learn, I think that you minimize the amount of those kind of mistakes happening.
So, would you
Um,
propose kind of like separate classes, like a competitors class and like a general class or an advanced class
yeah,
or something?
for sure. Yeah, at least divide it by level so that you don't have someone who's trying to go 100% not knowing the techniques. Because if you go 100% with someone who, especially in jiu-jitsu, two guys who know the techniques, they're able to do it in a controlled manner. Whereas when you just don't know the techniques yet, if you're going 100%, it's dangerous for you and it's dangerous for the person you're going with.
Yes.
Um, Accidents happen.
That's probably like some of the worst injuries I've had is like when I'm going with somebody who's just like, and to be fair, I might have done it to people, I don't know, but like someone who's like kind of scrambly or not even necessarily scrambly, more like fighting for their life to get out of positions with like strength and jerking motions rather than like, breathing through them and stuff. Like what do you call it? Like sporadic movements.
Yeah.
Comp-
But I mean, it's like when you're so new, it's expected because what else are you going to do? You don't know what to do.
yeah, it's an
So
interesting
that's why it's up to
dynamic
the coach.
because
Yeah.
it's like that's what I was like saying. It's somewhat necessary to a point because it's like there's not much you can do because you don't want like a gym full of people who aren't trying, but
Of course.
you don't want a gym full of people who are injuring people because they're just oblivious to training partners. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. And for you to get that injured from an Aminari roll, dude, I don't know. You must have got cracked just right. Do you think,
Yeah, just wrong.
or just
Yeah,
wrong?
no, it killed, man. It was bad. It was such a hard impact that it like concaved my cheekbone. So and it completely concussed me. So the thing that I just wasn't happy about that instance is that the coaches there let me drive home rather than calling an ambulance for me, and I was concussed, and I don't remember any of that. I just remember coming to at the wheel of my truck, covered in blood and puke, pulling over to the side of the road, and then I remember the next thing being in the hospital. And apparently, I had made it back to my house and was incoherent and covered in blood and puke, and my mother and my cousin, because I had family coming down to see me that day, actually, um, they drove me to the hospital, and were kind of shocked that the gym didn't take care of me. They were, I guess, mostly concerned that I had signed a waiver.
Did you? Yeah, did you go back to that gym?
I don't remember going back. I went back apparently like a couple days later to get like I guess my bag and my phone and things I left there. My mother took me, but she said that the coach that was there wasn't there that night and was distraught and apologizing and all these things. But I was all bandaged up and I don't really remember anything.
Holy fuck, man! What's that?
Yeah.
What was it like? Like, what do you remember? Like, that's got not only it's pretty bad concussion if you're throwing up. That's like not a good sign. And
Oh yeah.
then, um, like just being able, well, one dealing with that much pain. I imagine like just having your face like that is fucking rough pain for a long time. And then to bounce back to like want to go train again, that takes like a special person as well. What were
Yeah.
you,
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, you're good. I was just gonna say, what was like your process through it? Like, how did you process the whole injury, pain, and like what made you want to go back?
Um. So processing the pain. was difficult. It was the physical pain that was really difficult, but it was also the mental pain of feeling like my the things in my life were taken from me. Um, I didn't know at that point if I was going to be able to get back to training or not. For about 3 months, 4 months, even after the surgery,
Mm.
every step that I took, I could feel the vibration in my face because the bones weren't just fractured, they were displaced. So they were actually broken off of my skull.
Oof.
Um, yeah, and every step that you take, you feel all that vibration going up through your facial bones. So that took a lot of just healing time and a lot of downtime. Which for me, I'm a very active person. There doesn't go like a day where I don't do something active. So just to completely change my life from being someone who trains twice a day and doing all these things and aspiring to be um, a professional athlete, to go to just being bedridden for such a long time was crazy for me mentally. Um,
It's gotta be
and
depressing too, huh?
for sure, uh, it was definitely depressing. I definitely had stints of time where I was doing things that weren't characteristic of me. And it was just difficult to come out of that little rut. But I was not about to let like that instance that happened that was completely out of my control define my future and define my career and what I was going to be and my involvement in the sport. I wasn't going to let that one instance define my involvement in the sport, because I still have a lot to offer. I do plan to compete again. I've been getting back to training, and it's been tough getting back to training, but I just have to be really careful about who I've been training with, and because the trust between training partners is very important, especially when you're at a high level. Um, so, yeah, I've just been very careful about the comeback, and I feel like now I'm at a point where I'm very healthy, and the face has been holding up in hard sparring sessions. So I think it's time maybe to start making a comeback.
That's awesome, dude. Like, I can kind of relate because I was in a car accident and I was in relatively in the same mental space as you just stated, where I was in a car accident. I herniated 3 discs in my neck. I was
Good.
concussed. One of the my what was it? An impingement on my spinal cord. One of them was touching my spinal cord. Um, every doctor I talked to said, "Don't train, don't train. You'll never do that again." Like they're kind of on the same page, like hinting towards you'll never really be on the mats again, and you definitely won't be competing if you are. And it was very tough because like I was thinking the same thing. I've actually had a couple of times where I've been in them shoes because I also have a heart murmur,
Got
and same thing when I was diagnosed with that. Like I had before I went and got all this testing done, they were telling me that like you might not be able to compete anymore. I was actually how I found out was I was weighing in for a cage fight, and you know how they do like the pre-doctor analysis,
Sure.
like the physical beforehand. That doctor was like, "You have a heart murmur. Did you know that?" And I was like, "What?" And she's like, I can't let you go." And
Okay. Yeah.
I was like, "No, my family's here. Like they traveled, they came here. Like I need to go." And they're like, "No, we can't." And then after sitting there and having my coach talk to her, and I knew the promoter, and she's like, "I'll let you go, but I highly, highly, highly recommend that if you feel any discomfort, you quit. And if immediately after this, when you get a chance, you need to go to the doctor and get checked out." And then throughout that process was the same thing. Like, you don't be active. You can't be active. We don't know what's going on. Your heart murmur, you might not be able to train. So I remember I went through that same mental space and had the same problem as you did. I was getting uncharacteristic. I went through like being super active, which produces dopamine and purpose, to being like a stuck to a bed. And that was with my neck and with the heart murmur thing. But
Isn't it weird how you go through those mental battles with yourself? But
yeah,
I feel like it's crucial for growth.
yes, it is. And it gives you a whole new appreciation. And it's it's always weird, and that's kind of the point and the ongoing question of this podcast is like, what the fuck makes some people quit and some people keep going? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I like getting people on that chose to keep going and kind of dissect like why and what drove them and why they made the choice to, like, you get back in there. I understand that. I guess it's kind of like a post-traumatic stress of like who you train with. You might be like getting nervous with certain people. It's kind of like the guys who get knocked out, the guys who are on top and they get knocked out once and they never fight the same again.
Yeah.
Probably because the back of their head, they're always keeping in mind, like, damn, it could happen again, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And it is like I always think of every time I take a shot that maybe I shouldn't have taken, or like an accidental elbow or something like that. Someone's like, "Oh, sorry." I'm questioning, like, damn, should I even be in this gym right now? You know,
Yeah,
it's
like when you get like a little jolt, you're kind of like, oh shit, like,
yeah,
am I good? Am I good?
and yeah, exactly. And so one of the risks that if I do make a comeback, the doctors told me, is that if I get hit on that side and things don't go well, I could lose my vision. So that's like a big factor um, in my decision to make a comeback. Um, but we'll see. You know,
What makes it worth it to you to risk that? Just
and that's something I've been trying to think about lately. And I'm just a naturally competitive person, and if I did make a comeback, I think it would be to just show the efficacy of what I'm teaching um, in my gym, um, rather than like do it for accolades or do it for a purpose to get to the UFC or this or that, because those really aren't my goals. I don't care about that. I make money doing other things and helping people in finance and real estate. So that aspect of life is a-okay. But in order to show my students that what I'm teaching them really works on trained fighters, that could be a motivating factor for me.
see, like, I've kind of the more I'm talking to you, the more I'm relating, man. It's because like I'm kind of past the point of hoping for UFC or any of that kind of shit. Actually, Don went and trained at Greg Jackson's. I was so jealous. And but him and I've had long discussions about the same thing. Like, man, is it worth like taking the shots? Is it worth grinding the body down? Like, what's the average UFC career look like? What's the average pay look like? Like, I
What's the average pay look like exactly?
like I have kids now. I want to be able to hold them. Like, before
Yeah,
kids, I'd probably like be like, fuck yeah, let's do this. Like, I just want to prove myself. But now that I have kids, it's like kind of like, man, I don't want to be like shaking or frail and not being able to hold them or help them or think. You know what I mean?
sure.
Um, but so I'm more concentrating kind of like because I'm getting towards brown belt. I'm trying to concentrate more on like becoming a good coach. And that's a thought
Sure.
process I've had lately too. Is like, do I need to compete to get accolades to prove, myself, or do you think I could get by just being a good coach and networking? And I don't know if do you think more people sign up to gyms when they see a bunch of medals on the wall, or do you think more people sign up to gyms when you have like a local reputation?
So I think it's a double-edged sword there. Because I had the same questions when I was starting my gym as you did. Obviously, there are people who are more experienced than me in the sport. I'm very experienced in my own right, but there's always someone who's either better, more technical, or this or that. And I've asked my coaches, like, I have a coach who's a three-time world kickboxing champion, David Bybee, and he's right in Pinellas Park. He's an amazing coach.
Savage.
He what's that?
He's a savage.
He's a savage. Yeah, he's not a small guy, so that's not a guy you want to fight. His son is scary, scary. He's also a national champ, but he's gonna like take over the kickboxing world. Anyways, um, most people that join his gym, he has probably the most successful gym in Tampa Bay, and the people that join his gym don't join because he's a world champion kickboxer. They join because of what he offers and the kind of environment he offers, and his facility, and the kind of guy that he is. So, and I was so shocked to hear him. Like when I had this conversation with him, I was so shocked to hear that, because I would think that people would join the gym based on the accolades and based on all these things, but most of his members are not people with aspirations to be UFC fighters. They're people who want to get in shape, who want to learn the sport, who want to be able to defend themselves properly, and who have lives.
Right. Huh.
Um, so, and I had talked to my first MMA coach ever, the person who got me into the sport, Rick Alfred, at my gym up north, and he told me the same thing. Um, he doesn't have like a world championship title or anything like that. He's a Joe Louis black belt, third degree in kickboxing. But even he told me, he's like, look, they care about what you're offering, what you can provide to them, and if you have a kids program, what you can do with your kids program, what kind of person you are. Are you someone who is approachable, who's a good coach? And something that I've heard, and they both told me this, is not all great fighters are great coaches, and it's super true.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that. But then again, all of that things. If you are a world champion, if you are um, a highly regarded athlete in the area or competitor, people are going to take notice of that too.
Yeah, that is like such a good point though, because not a lot of good competitors are good coaches. And I don't know, like if you think about like, some of the best MMA gyms in the world, I don't even know like Greg Jackson's like MMA record or
No,
like
right?
Firas Zahabi. I don't really even know any much about him or Danaher's background, honestly.
Yeah.
I just know they're good coaches.
And a lot of those guys competed a bit and realized, okay, maybe they either had success or they didn't or had mixed results, but they realized that they could be more beneficial as a coach, or they had yeah, they realize those things, and they've all become the top coaches in the world. But if you look, they don't have either the greatest competition record or this or that.
Yeah.
It's
That
interesting to see.
and that brings me to another thing. Like the fucking fight game is so hard. It's not like just it's not even like just knowing the right promoters and getting the right like events, and like that's even hard. Like a lot of fights fall through, a lot of opponents kind of suck, especially coming up. Like
Sure.
it's kind of hard getting in with like the right if you're looking at like a career in MMA or fighting, it's not really like just start training, getting fights and move. Like you could be on ice for a long time,
Oh
or
yeah.
you got people like do you remember like Dave Yost from
Dave Yost.
Yeah, he was like a heavyweight. They promoted him a lot for Art of Fighting, AOF.
Okay.
He's a local guy here. He actually passed away. He was like a bouncer at like a strip club, and not to I don't want to completely butcher what happened, but something about he was bouncing, and I think there was like a fight or something, and he got choked and died.
Oh
But
my God.
yeah, he died like from like almost like a little brawl or trying to kick somebody out or something like that. But
Damn.
that guy was like the headline of every AOF event.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, he pretty much was like, he was just like one of them like heavyweight guys, like hard hitter, like one of them guys, like if he can catch a lot of people just right and drop them, like, um, and this was like a while back, like years and years ago, before it was like MMA was like it's, like MMA now is like its own martial art.
Sure.
Like back in the day, remember when it was like this guy's a wrestler or this guy's a boxer?
Absolutely. Like the Kumite style.
Yeah, it was kind of like that, like those days. But point being, like, that's like when I would go to a lot of events, and it seemed like you almost had to know somebody to get like good fights and get elevated and get paid well. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
if you don't know anybody and you're just running around like trying to make it happen, like there was a point in time where I was hopping to this gym, hopping to this gym, hopping to this gym, like on a daily basis. Gonna go lift, gonna go here for jiu-jitsu, gonna go here for some sparring. And it's like I had to find like promoters myself. It can become a pretty dirty game. You got to get in the right spot. You got to have like the right coach with the right connections.
I agree. And the thing is, it's just because it's such a like new type of sport. You have so many different personalities that no, it's like you said, it's not really organized. And I feel like a lot of people who get into this sport, they get into it maybe for the wrong reasons. And that's why you see a lot of fights pull through, is because like people, they say they want this or they're gonna do this, or like it's basically people who want everything to go their way or something. And then if it doesn't, they pull out, which sucks. But to be honest, what I've been finding in this sport since I've been training it is it's a small community. Even like around the world, it's a small community. Um, the people that I've run into at different gyms training and this and that, it's crazy to see like how our journeys have like come full circle, and we met again later in life, and we're both at different points, and it's just crazy. I'll tell you a funny story real quick. I was on vacation with my brother in Amsterdam, training. I was kickboxing, and I randomly like ran into Henry Cejudo at a food hallen, like one of the largest food courts there. And my brother just sees this dude bobbling through the crowd. He's like, "Is that Henry Cejudo?" I was like, "Yeah, it is." And so we started talking, and they invited us to train with them. And so randomly on this vacation, I was like, "Okay, I guess I'm training with Henry Cejudo." It was right after he fought and lost to DJ.
Oh
So he
shit.
went to he went to Amsterdam to train at all the Dutch kickboxing gyms to increase his striking. And so we got some training in over there at this guy Romer's gym. He was a world taekwondo champion, and it was that was like the first time I had trained with anybody of that caliber. And it was just crazy for me to see the gap between us, and like it wasn't as big as I thought it was. Um, and
Really?
I was, yeah, yeah. Um, and so right after that, um, I was heading out to Thailand. And I went to Thailand and I trained, and I did my pro debut in Muay Thai out there. But and it was just it really opened my eyes to the fact of like wow, like you could just randomly come across this guy who like people would they're paying money for interviews with this guy. They're like he's a big deal in the sport, and to just run into him like that and see how nice and like cool he was, him and his coaches to just invite me to train with them. Like it really is a small community. Um, his coach actually hit me up to corner Dustin Ortiz, UFC flyweight,
Okay.
at the event. Not Dustin Ortiz, Alexander Pantoja, who was fighting Dustin Ortiz at the event in Boston. That never came to fruition. I don't think Pantoja wanted me to coach him because he didn't know who the hell I was. But his coach Eric had asked me to do that because we got tight. We started talking all the time. Um, but yeah, it's just so cool how you can run into people, and like people think fighters are just a certain type of person, and in reality, I feel like 90% of the people that I've met in this sport are just genuinely awesome people that you would never expect. Like that person can destroy you in so many different ways, or has this ability to knock someone out, or be that kind of aggressive, malicious person, but they just are not. I think that's something that's kind of crazy. Is
There
like
there are a lot of
just
high level fighters who are just calm people.
yeah,
I I
yeah,
I haven't met like a whole lot of back in the day, like, and I'm talking like keep saying like years ago, when I was a part of like the Tampa scene, and like Gracie South Tampa had all the UFC fighters coming out of it.
sure,
I would run into and see them all a lot and stuff. Most of them are cool, like Big Baby and stuff like that when they're all like in the UFC, Matt Arroyo. Um,
yeah,
but
savage,
yeah, he's cool.
great guy.
Um, but when Donald, like I told you, like went to Jackson Wink, uh, he got like he was lucky. He got to train with like Cowboy Cerrone. I think he trained with Holly Holm a little bit, and just like a handful of those people. And it was kind of like you said, um, the difference. I was expecting to be like leaps and bounds. Like when I'm like, oh, you fought them. Like I didn't think he'd be able to take anyone down, anyone in the UFC caliber. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And he's sitting there like, yeah, I'm taking Donald Cerrone down and this and that. And I'm like, really? Like, he's like, yeah, I kind of figured out how to do it. Like, but then I thought about it. I'm like, think about how much shit they have to train and concentrate on. How could they possibly be like masters of it all? you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, to hear Henry Cejudo wasn't as much of a gap as you thought, that blows my mind because that dude's like Olympic. Like, his accolades are insane.
Well, let me. He in wrestling, unbelievable. Like no one can touch him.
Nope, you said
In
it on the
striking,
podcast. You beat his ass. I have it
you
recorded.
heard it here first.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that did not happen.
But his
But
wrestling
yeah,
was his wrestling like just insane, like throwing shit out you've never
unbelievable.
seen. Yeah.
Just super technical, and the way that he was actually teaching as well, and was teaching a way like a certain technique of how to get a single leg off of a side kick. Um, Throwing it, faking it, and then stepping in. How you should step in a wrestling stance to get it. I should actually use that move a lot more. Um, but just seeing the way he was teaching, I was like, wow, this guy just is on another level there. And then moving with him and seeing how he was able to just get around everyone's body and just get to the positions where he was able to be dominant it was a different level for me. Now, granted, like I said, that was my first exposure to training with someone at that level. When I went out to Thailand, I got to train with Piotr Jan, I got to train with Volkanovski, got to train with Fabrizio Andrade, the guy who's fighting. He's the flyweight champ right now for one championship. He's fighting John Haggerty. Um,
I like one
he,
championship a lot.
yeah, he was probably the hardest dude I ever had to spar. Um,
Damn.
yeah, no joke. He messed me up. I left that ring bloody from my nose and my mouth, and almost like I had like a. I wouldn't say I got knocked out, but I definitely was like flashed probably
Oh,
twice during that round. Yeah. It was cool, but yeah, he's probably the best guy I've sparred, and that's out of everybody. That's out of everybody I've ever sparred, probably. Just
what,
I'm excited for that fight.
have you seen videos of Conor McGregor sparring his people lately that he's been posting?
Yeah, he's been killing them.
What do you think of that, bro?
Yeah.
I'm kind of. I don't know if I think that's like a douche move or just like a. I don't know.
I think
He's
when
like beating the shit out of these dudes.
yeah, I don't know who they are. Because I saw him moving with Ian Geary, and he was not beating the shit out of Ian Geary.
Oh,
Um,
I didn't know they linked up.
yeah, they linked up. I actually saw a video of them sparring, and it looked like Geary was like he's much taller and much longer, but it looked like Conor was having trouble getting around that height, which makes sense because he had trouble getting around Nate Diaz's length and height. So maybe that's a body type that's difficult for him.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, I don't know if I'm here's the deal. If he's paying those sparring partners to spar with him and they're getting paid, then yeah, man, beat the shit out of him. Like that's what you're paying them for. But if those are like his friends or I don't know, I don't go that hard with my friends in sparring. I mean, sometimes I do, but
Dude, I would imagine that those guys are either people who want to prove themselves and be like, I sparred Conor McGregor,
yeah,
or like, I don't know, people who just either A, want to say they sparred him, or B, like you said, I guess paying him. But you think if he's paying people, he'd probably pay people he couldn't do that to.
exactly, right? I think yeah, actually yeah, that makes a good point because I think that Conor McGregor, anybody who's going to spar him, if you're Conor McGregor, you got a target on your back. Everybody wants to be the guy who's like, I knocked out Conor McGregor. I dropped him in sparring. I did this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why he's like, I'm still the king, motherfucker. Bam. Down
But
you go.
how hard would it be like for him to go around a gym and be like, who wants to spar me? You know, you get a lot of people who just be like, yeah, I'll do it. Fuck it. Like,
Oh,
I'll take a chance.
absolutely. I
And
would.
then just end up getting worked.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if they're not up to his caliber for sure. But like I feel like that happens in jujitsu a lot. Just because it's striking, like people are like, "Oh shit, he's going too hard." But fucking, I go into some jujitsu places sometimes, and there's a dude who's like really really good. So they fucking smash me, and they do not take it easy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
How's supremacy on that level?
You mean skill for skill, or on like how are they with like
A
treating like newcomers?
lot of people lately have been saying that it's kind of a rough gym. Like,
I think it's a. I think here's the deal. For me, my preference, I enjoy that type of training. So like if it's jujitsu, I really enjoy it. If we're sparring in Muay Thai, I don't want to spar the same intensity that I'm going to do jujitsu all the time because it's brain damage, it's things like that. But in jujitsu, luckily, it's a sport where you can go hard, you can be rough, and I think that specifically for the sport of jujitsu and for fighting, really, to train like that grittiness and that hardness and to have rough rounds like where you're getting smashed, you're not winning, you're getting taken down, and it feels real. I think that that's super important for competition. I think
yeah,
it's super important for seeing what it's like to actually have someone come at you with intention to like malicious intention in a street fight or this or that. Like nobody who wants to do harm to you, if they come up to you in like a street scenario or like an outside of competition scenario, is going to be nice. They're going to be rough. So you need to experience what that feels like in a gym so you can get used to it and feel so that when it happens to you, you're not surprised.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
I love
that's
training with
kind of my
supremacy.
opinion on females training too.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of gyms like kind of do like a side female class where it's like usually pretty like relatively mild and private. But I do think at least at some point, maybe after you introduce women to the sport and get them used to it, like I think it is important for them to experience like either male strength or like a little bit of aggression, so they can learn how to deal with it or redirect it.
Sure.
Going back to
Yeah.
what you just said, like if a woman is in a vulnerable situation and she's only used to like kind of vaguely kicking the foot and kind of softly pushing a face away, and what I mean, like what are the chances that like if she's defending herself for her life or something else, like what are the chances that's going to help her in that situation? You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, because as someone who went from a Kempo style, like I started Kempo very young. When I got to do jujitsu, after playing college soccer, I was not used to like that kind of intensity and aggression, and I was like, damn, like I'm trying certain things and they're just not working like I thought they would work. Being in that kind of scenario when it matters is very, very dangerous, because I mean, imagine a woman who's learned all these self-defense techniques, and she feels so confident to defend herself against an attacker, and he attacks her and none of the things work. That's a very scary situation to be in.
Is
That's something that you would hope that none of your students are ever in that situation.
is that something you're going to concentrate on at your school,
Yeah.
like realistic scenarios?
So I have a second degree black belt in reality martial arts. It's basically small circle jiu-jitsu
Mhm.
under Rick Alfred, and that's one of the things that we focus on. It's basically MMA catered to street scenarios, um, and it's basically everything that just works, and you cut out all the bullshit of what doesn't work. So you attack vital areas, and the key concepts are relating it to like actual scenarios. So if you're double legging someone on mats, there's no risk really for the person who's doing a double leg. I mean, yes, there is, but it's a nice soft mat that you're falling on. You land on top, you hop and mount, you do what you want to do. On a concrete or pavement or gravel or anything like that, if they get a hold of your head when you're shooting that takedown and they put pressure into where your head is, you could smack your head and knock yourself out on the pavement.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those are things to keep in mind, and things that like sometimes even MMA guys don't think of, and they'll do something like that and look like they're not doing the correct thing, or they don't know what they're doing because they hurt themselves during the fight. Another thing is like Another thing is using objects in a street scenario. That's more than okay to use an object, a brick, the floor. If you're on top and grounding pound, I wouldn't recommend standing on top of them, raining down punches. If they move their head, you're going to hit concrete. So certain things you would have to control and use different strikes in those scenarios. So those are things that I'm definitely going to focus on at my gym. I'll teach those even to the MMA program and the MMA fighters. I think that they're just beneficial to know.
Like, are you talking about like for like straight defense, or what do you
So
mean?
if I take you down and I hop into mount and I'm
Mhm.
in a mounted position and I'm raining down ground and pound with my punches, if you move side to side and pendulum your body, there's a good chance that I'm gonna miss that moving target a couple times. And if
Break your
it's on a
hand.
mat, yeah, if it's on a mat, I don't worry about it so much because I'm hitting a soft mat. It's like shock absorption for that. But if it's concrete, one or two strikes to that concrete with enough force that I want to do damage to him could really break and shatter my hands. And then, I mean, I have to have knowledge of how to fight without hands, which is tough in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's like different tactics I would use in that scenario. I'm talking strictly self defense. Instead of raining down ground and pound, you could grab someone's hair or their ears and smash their own head into the concrete. I know that's kind of like violent and aggressive, but if it's life or death there, you're gonna save your hands. Um, Covering someone's mouth and nose is also a good tactic if you're in mount, just to buy yourself some time and let them spaz out. I know sometimes people use that in jiu-jitsu now, but it was frowned upon for a while.
Yeah, I saw J Rod using it on Instagram. I thought it was kind of funny,
I love that move.
like just covering their face. But
Yeah, Zach does it to me sometimes.
are you like trying to? So are you trying to teach people like what about subduing somebody? Or are you trying to teach someone how to fucking Because you said something about a brick, and I'm like, holy shit! I don't know how many times you can hit someone with a brick before.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it can only be once, and then you're out free from that life or death situation.
Gotcha.
And so, like, I'm
You're
gonna do
talking.
a
You're
women's.
talking like back in the corner, like
Yeah, I'm talking like
you're not.
you're
You're not just talking
you're
about
like
some guy's a jerk or hitting on you and you don't like it. You're talking about
no.
like,
I'm talking like you have your kids with you, and some crackhead pushed you against the wall and punched your kid, and is gonna punch you, and now it's like, whoa, things are real. I need to get this guy off of me and protect my kids.
gotcha.
So those are the kind of fundamental concepts that I want to instill in my students. Not obviously being a malicious aggressor, but if someone's bringing that malicious aggression towards you, how to redirect it and keep yourself safe and the people that you care about safe, rather than teaching like kick him in the shin and walk away, or all these McDojo stuff that you see on Instagram these days.
I actually follow that page, McDojo.
I love that page.
It's like so ridiculous sometimes. I'm like, who signed up for this?
A lot of people do. That's the crazy thing is people put their trust in these so-called experts because they have a black belt around their waist. It doesn't mean anything. When I was like, all right, you're a purple belt, I'm a blue belt. We have both smashed black belts, guaranteed. We know that like the belt around your waist, yes, I respect it. Yes, I know the years of hard work it took to achieve it. It doesn't mean shit when it's me versus you on the mats. It just doesn't.
You know what's funny is one of the first tournaments I did, like after coming back from like a break, like a long MMA or whatever jiu-jitsu break, Zach, it was like a tournament where Zach did the absolute and somebody ankle locked him and popped his ankle. So he was he was out. So he started coaching me and he convinced me, he's like, all right, sign up for gi and no gi, just do both. I'm like, both? And he's like, yeah. So when I signed up for no gi, I did advanced, thinking like, blue belt was advanced, like not intermediate anymore. I don't know why. And found out after I did the blue belt division in gi, found out that I signed up for like the brown, purple, black belt division, like just the advanced, like the top dog division for nogi.
Yeehaw, let's go.
Yeah, and then the first match was against a black belt.
How'd that go?
It went pretty good. I got like it was one of those like shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Like I was doing pretty good. I kept trying to pass this dude's guard, and he kept trying to tangle me up. But for the most part, I was staying out of danger, and I was staying on top. I just couldn't get past his half guard, and every time I went around his guard, his like toe just like caught my hip, and he re-guarded.
Oh
And
god.
yeah, and I felt like I would have definitely won had I like gotten around that toe. But then I got kind of like, I'm like, after trying something so many times, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try something else, like see where it goes. I didn't really care anymore at that point. I won the division I was in before, like I already won gold. So and then once I found out I signed up for an advanced division, I'm like, oh well, fuck it, let's see how it goes. Like I wasn't as competitive because like in my head, I'm like, well, I'm out of my my jurisdiction here, so might as well just have fun with it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So started kind of playing around with that guy, and then ended up like he ended up getting a mount, and then I heard the ref say, I thought he said 3 seconds left, but I guess he said 30 seconds left. Which why are you warning me about 30 seconds? But so I sat there and kind of like slowly started like 1, 2, 3. All right, good match. But it didn't end, and he threw in a fucking choke, and I stood up. I'm like, that was a long 3 seconds. He's like, I said 30 seconds. I was like, oh, you fucking got me.
What, he get you with the mounted Ezekiel?
He got me with, it was Nogi. He got me with just an arm triangle from mount.
Gotcha.
He was the only one who beat me though. I got second.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was actually a lot of fun to do that. Like I just jumped in way deeper than I thought as a blue belt, but it goes back to your point. Like some of those guys, like I went against the purple belt, tapped him, and I went against that black belt. And had I been like more competitive or more experienced, I probably would have just kept trying to pass the guard and maybe try to win by points or advantage, and probably might have been able to successfully pull it off. It wasn't until I just started trying new shit and just saying fuck it that like I got myself, behind the ball. But
Sure.
it was fun. It was definitely fun. I
Yeah, but I'm sure you didn't feel out of your element even against that black belt, right?
No, I mean,
Oh. Dude, at the end of the day, it's just human bodies against each other. Like you could put a label on it, black, purple, orange, red, blue, black stripe, whatever. It's your hands, your arms, your legs versus my arms, my hands, my legs. And we're two, yeah, I mean, obviously you can compete against females in this, but two men. You know what I mean? It's your will versus my will. I feel like the sooner you understand that in combat sports or in jiu-jitsu, specifically jiu-jitsu, like the better you become, or at least for
yeah,
me. When
yeah,
I realized that, my professor up north, Anderson Silverio, told me that. Like I was going against a black belt. His name was Coxinha, and he was from Brazil. He was a really good guy, really good competitor. And my coach said, give him no fucking space. Give him no respect and no mercy. Obviously, he wanted me to respect him, but he's like, in the match, give him no respect. He's like, if you see a takedown, take him down. If you take his back, take his back. Put the pressure on him. And like when I started doing that, um, man, let me tell you, my game started elevating. In that room, under Anderson Silverio, we had guys like Rob Font, Calvin Cater,
mm,
um, Connor Berry. We had guys like Kin Moy, Jay Perrin, who's in the UFC. We had a lot of these caliber guys in that room, and I mean, I was just grateful to like have these guys to be able to train with, and but you have to have that mentality. You can't look at like, oh, because all these guys are in the room, I am I have to lose. No, that's not the fucking mentality. My coach instilled that in me early, and I started to do very very well against all these guys. Um, I feel like that's such an important mentality to carry through, especially up into the like as you get more experience and start facing more experienced guys. You can't give a fuck about who you're facing. It's you versus you in that puzzle.
that is one of like the hardest, like one of the hardest hurdles to get over is worrying about who you're going against rather than like about the job, like looking at it as like a job at hand rather than looking at like who you're fighting, like worrying about them rather than worrying about yourself. It's sometimes it's tough. Like I remember like jiu-jitsu competition is not really to me as hard as MMA, but you still kind of show up to the room and you still kind of like look around, like kind of size people up. Like, all right, this is
Oh
competition.
fuck yeah,
Start
hell
getting
yeah,
you start getting in your own head, like, man, he looks fucking good. But how
dude,
many
that guy
times have
looks
you seen the
strong.
jack catted up guy look like shit, and then you see like the nerdy skinny dude look like, holy fuck, like that kid's like just pulling shit out. And I didn't even know that one guy was a black belt till after the match either, too, which was a little bit of a confidence booster.
Hell yeah.
But it is like you said, it kind of gave me like an outlook as to like fuck it. And know one thing I do a lot too, especially for jiu-jitsu matches, is like I kind of hope I can get beat up because I feel like I feel like if I go to a match and I win or I sub people, it's cool. I get the W, which is kind of weird. It's counterintuitive, but like I get the win. But it's almost like I go back to the gym and I'm like, yeah, I'm as good as I thought I was. You know,
Yeah.
but like when you get beat, you kind of go back to the gym and you're like, all right, you kind of like redesign and abandon like shit you didn't think worked and kind of rebuild your whole game. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't I don't know if you deal with that, but that's kind of like how I deal with it.
100%. I've learned the most after my losses, 100%, and my failures, 100%, because you're forced to reflect and you're forced to like cut out the things like you said that didn't work and like let's build upon this now. I have a good baseline, um, and yeah, those competitions super important, especially jiu-jitsu competitions for learning for me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not like I'm not like the I don't know. Like I have fun at jiu-jitsu competitions, but to me I don't it's like always just such a long day. You know
dude,
what
low key, I always just blaze up the whole competition.
I mean?
I don't give a shit, dude. I walk in, I'm like, let's weigh in and let's get stoned.
You're like, let's just go. All right.
Yeah, dude. I because like here's the deal. Like there's so many nerves and this, like you said, you walk around, you're sizing everybody up, and I realize now I've done some jiu-jitsu competition, quite a few now, and I just care none about any of that. I'm like, all right, we're all in this division. I understand we're all people. We all came here. I'm gonna enjoy this, dude. And I like to roll when I'm like high and just in a good element. I'm gonna fucking go out to my car, blaze up, hang out, just
Damn,
chill.
that's fucking lit.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
know. Do other people do you not do that?
I don't know a whole lot of people other than like I maybe only know a couple people who really get stoned beforehand. But I remember on the MMA team there was like a couple guys who like would get stoned before training.
I've done that before kickboxing fights, bro.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I literally puffed my pen before walking right in the ring. Low key. Don't tell anybody. I know there's a podcast, but
Dude, I like shit. I've like I heard that Donald Cerrone like drinks a beer before he goes out to calm his nerves.
yeah, I would.
I could kind of see I could see that working, like a shot of whiskey just to lean you out and kind of be like, all right, like let's handle this, you know?
Dude, many times before hard sparring, or if I know I'm gonna do like something like that, where I'm like, oh fuck, bro, I'm either gonna get my ass kicked or I'm gonna do shark take rounds or something like that. Sometimes, just because I don't want to think about those nerves, I'll take a shot of Fireball or something, um, and
Damn.
just go at it. In college actually, um, I had a professor who told me that like before giving presentations and stuff like that, because I used to get nervous talking before people and this and that. He's like, dude, you're 21, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, have a shot of something. Like before, he's like, you don't get nervous talking at parties or doing this or do that. I'm like, no. He's like, have a shot, relax, hang out, and like give the presentation comfortably. And ever since that, I've kind of been going into like stressful situations with that kind of mentality of like yeah, you kind of have to not give a fuck. And that energy, people can read that energy. Like you don't give a fuck. You're happy to just be here. And that's what
Yeah,
people resonate with.
enjoy conquering the chaotic moment.
Yeah,
um
100%.
and you said in the beginning you help people financially.
Yeah,
Like how fun do you like doing that?
I do. I love doing it. I was doing it a couple years back after a stint of taking care of a loved one. I was working for New York Life, and I really just got to see like all the ins and outs of financial advising and investing and what kind of things you can do with money and how to get people from where they are to where they want to be and creating plans and stuff like that. So I started doing that probably about it's 2017. It's 2024. Yeah, about 8 years ago. And since then, I've been helping people and doing my own investing and just learning more. I think experience is the best teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So now 8 years into flipping real estate, investing, day trading, investing in cryptocurrency and financial vehicles, I, I I'm at such a point right now where I can help people to the capacity where it just it's not work anymore. It's just conversations and and offering people solutions.
Damn, dude, that's
And
beautiful.
yeah, when it can become like that, I feel like that's a good point to be, good place to be. I'm there right now with MMA as well. It's like I feel like by opening this gym now with the experience I have, I feel like rather than like building the best fight team or making the most money or doing this, I can really offer people solutions to problems, whether they be in fitness, whether they be in fighting mentality or fighting technique. I feel like I can just offer them solutions, which is that makes me happy.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. How many people are financially incompetent, do you think? Like on a let's say national scale? Like how much like it's weird with finances because it doesn't seem like a lot of people understand investing and um most people don't even know what compound interest is, dude. Like straight up, you go up to most people and be like, do you understand how compound interest works against you for credit cards? They have
Yeah, I would
no
say
clue.
probably 90% of people wouldn't know. Yeah.
Like if you told somebody
Um,
like they spend $100 on their credit card, they're probably thinking, okay, 18% interest rate means I'm going to pay $118, you know, and
yeah.
they don't realize that it compounds and snowballs against them.
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking Economy can be a bitch sometimes. But yeah, I would say, to answer your question, I don't know if I would say financially incompetent, rather than like you just don't know what you don't know. And like who I blame is the educational system, because what the heck are we learning in schools? You know what I mean? We should be learning financial strategies and financial tactics and money management, and I think microeconomics at a very early age to understand, because people get jobs 13, 14, 15 years old, right? And they get money and they have no idea how to manage it or handle it. No one teaches you, even up until you really only start learning the basics of it if you go into the business field in college. And even then, it's so basic and more of like textbook topics than actual applied material and experience. I was lucky enough in college to have a full time job while I was in college. So I was applying the tactics that I was learning in college to my job and could trial and error and see what worked and what didn't. I feel like I said, even in MMA and any aspect of life, finance, anything, experience is the best teacher.
What do you think
Um,
is the biggest problem you run into with people's finances? Debt?
um, Debt, not so much debt is the biggest problem. What's the biggest problem is people don't plan for things that um, number one are 100% going to arise, or number two that they just don't see or they don't think will happen to them, or they just they're so focused on the now that they don't think so much about the future and how we're going to get there, or they maybe they have an idea of what they want, but they haven't laid out a strategy of how to get there, and there might be some variables that they don't factor in. um, and I feel like that is probably the biggest problem. um, Everybody is like planning for retirement and planning for this and planning for that. They're doing their 401ks, they're putting money in an IRA, they're doing all these things, and maybe sometimes a lot of people don't plan for things that are like super prevalent and common, things like disease, things like cancer, things like terminal illness that could come into play. And then when that happens, I mean, you have to be protected. I feel like people, these are the things that people don't think of. That's why a lot of people, maybe they don't have the right amount of life insurance, or they don't have the right investment vehicles set up, so that if those things do happen, and say they plan on contributing to their 401k or their IRA for 15, 20 more years, now they can't because they're either disabled or they're sick. They need something as like a buffer for all of that. That's where like a lot of like insurance comes in. um, Life insurance, long-term care, these are type of things that people don't necessarily think of all the time. Um, and because of the stigma of like financial advisors, the whole Bernie Madoff shit, like this guy's gonna screw me out of finances. I don't want anybody knowing what I make and how much this and that. Because of that stigma, people don't usually um, hit up financial advisors to talk or for advice or for this or that. But those are the only people that you can get these kind of financial vehicles from. So I mean, it's really about like educating the general public on finance, and that's why I feel like it comes back to the educational system, because if people learn that at a young age, they'll be more comfortable having those kinds of conversations. They'll be more comfortable managing their own personal finances, their debt, and realizing how to get out of debt, like tremendous debt if they're in it, or how to keep debt to help with their credit, or to gain more assets. So yeah, big problems with the educational system there.
No, I agree, man. Nobody even teaches you like how to. You barely learn how to balance a checkbook, which those are like almost out of date now. But
Yeah.
is because I kind of went down that road a little bit. I was interested in becoming a financial advisor, but where I went for training, it kind of turned into like just selling life insurance. Like they didn't really. I was more interested in like growing wealth, and it seemed like the place I went to was pushing more like sell life insurance.
Sure.
And after like about 6 months or so of doing that, I kind of like got the hint, like, all right, I don't think we're going to be concentrating very much on growing wealth or investments. I think they like would want me to like kind of sit in traffic and look for cars that have like phone numbers on them and basically like write down green car, Almerton Road, you know, name of the business, whatever's
Call
on it.
that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, basically like building a lead book And then that way I could like sit down and call them all, be like, hey, like I just so happened to see your car and I was wondering, like that kind of shit, cold calling.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, when you're starting your first book of business and doing all these things, you do a lot of things like that, and things that maybe you don't necessarily love to do or this or that. But once you like have been in it for a while, and like you gain certain understandings, it becomes more of like you're a financial coach, and you're there to help people, because like I said, these financial products, people can't get them any other way besides through a financial advisor. So they'll have to talk to a financial advisor at some point if they want to do that, or they'll have to go into a bank if they want mutual funds or something like that. They'll have to go to a bank and then talk to the financial advisor there, um, or like the wealth management specialist at there. But yeah, reason being why they were pushing life insurance so much, for you to sell that, is because on the scale of risk, life insurance is a very safe investment, because you have guaranteed payouts. Um, Companies pay their payouts or their dividends or whatever, um, based on which company you use. They mostly pay them like 99% of the time. So you're like guaranteed to get the money that you're investing with. Whereas if you enter into the market with like mutual funds, there's no guarantees. Um, if you put all your money in at the wrong time, and there's a huge dip or a recession or this or that, you're gonna lose money. And no, if anybody tells you otherwise, like, oh no, this is a sure thing or this or that, they're scamming you. There's no sure things when it comes to the market. You can have very safe bets, um, but like, the safer you get, you'll get towards more of the life insurance investments type of thing like that. The more risk you want to like take on is when you'll start getting into like mutual funds and this and that, and you need more licenses, and stuff to sell, investment vehicles like mutual funds and stuff like that. So as you get more into the industry is when you can start providing people with that kind of knowledge, or maybe you can go to like a fee-based financial planner where like you'll have someone who you handle all their finances and their investments with, and you charge a flat fee of say $2,000 a year or something like that. There's different ways to help people, but yeah, I mean, the whole basis of this is helping people to understand that, getting financial help or coaching or tips or advice is okay. And it's a hard boundary to cross, because like you said, you get people who are just like, screw you, bro. But
Yeah. Like I
yeah.
don't need your help. So would
Yeah.
you say that even a financial advisor is a good investment? Or
To invest with a financial advisor.
yeah, like just the fact of like paying you for your services, that's a good investment on its own.
Well, here's the deal: most financial advisors don't even charge you. They
Really?
don't charge you. I don't charge anybody to do a free financial analysis. Like, I'll come have a meeting with someone. We'll talk about their finances. We'll give them a whole full financial analysis, all for free. And the only money I would make is a certain percentage of whatever product they buy. Whether it's a financial mutual fund, I'll get a certain percentage out of the fund. Or I'll get, like, off a life insurance, I'll have a certain percentage of the premium. That's just how financial advisors get paid. Um, so
Gotcha.
yeah, but you can talk to a financial specialist advisor for free. There are some that charge, like fee-based financial planners. They won't charge you for like an initial meeting or consultation, but if you want to be like their client, um, then they'll charge you a fee for that. But yeah, I would say talking to any financial advisor and seeing what they can do for you is a good investment, because it's free investment and it could potentially be beneficial for you. And if they find out at the end, here's the deal. Well, here's the deal. Some guys you'll meet, they need money so bad, right? I don't know why, but they just have a personality where they're not very client oriented. They don't have a fiduciary responsibility to their client, and they just want to sell what they want to sell. You can get advisors like that, but primarily, if you have like an advisor from like a top firm, like the firm that I work with, Northwestern Mutual, um, they weed out all that shit, and they give you someone really competent who really cares about helping someone and educating them. So like someone like me, I don't need the money. I do it primarily to help people. I make money in real estate and through other avenues. So I literally just want to help people, and I do make money off of it. Yeah, I set up an income stream for myself through it. But like, there's no reason why relationships can't be mutually beneficial.
Gotcha.
So yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. I'm kind of like a self-learned. I mean, I've got a couple of successful friends who send me stuff and help me through it all. Um, I'm more of like a Ramsey solution / money guy show / reading every book I get my hands on type of learner.
Are you a crypto guy?
I know I don't have a lot. I don't know enough about it.
Sure.
It was so controversial, and wasn't educated enough to make like a. I do have a little bit, but
It's very controversial and very volatile.
what's your
Um,
opinion on it?
my opinion on it is I think it's a very risky investment. In terms of risk, it's on like the opposite end of the spectrum. It's very volatile and risky. I've invested heavily in crypto. I've traded crypto. I've made some money and I've lost some money in crypto. I think it's for the average, or not the average investor, but like for the normal person, I would say if you have a little bit of money that you absolutely don't care about, put it into crypto at the advice of someone who knows what they're talking about. If you really don't care about it, it's just good to diversify. Do I think it's a safe play? No. Do I think it's a good play? Probably. I like other investments better. Um, and I've made a lot of money in crypto. Um, but it's just any volatile market that hasn't, it's not regulated. There's no regulating body. And
Isn't
I'll
that the
tell you
beauty
what,
behind it, or
is that the what?
isn't that like the beauty behind it, or like the selling point behind it? Is
For
that
drug dealers, for sure. For people who want to commit, like sell things on the black market and pay for it in certain ways, yeah. If you want untraceable payments and things like that, it can be beneficial if you're doing shady shit. Um, it was beneficial for me because I bought in at the right time and I sold at the right time. And that wasn't, yes, I studied so much and yes, I tried to predict it. Yeah, it was basically essentially luck. Um, but yeah, I guesstimated it was luck with some probability, I guess. Um, I had friends that did the same thing that lost a lot of money. If you stayed in crypto for like the long haul, you've lost a lot of money so far. If you got in when everybody was getting in. Um, but yeah, and another thing about it is you can't invest with emotion. You really can't. You can't. Like that's another thing is people see the what do you call it, the trend or the fad of like crypto, and everybody's doing this, and that's what everybody did when everybody was investing in crypto. Everyone's like, oh, you got crypto, bro? You got crypto? Oh, you got Cardano? Oh, you got VeChain? Like, oh, I know all the altcoins and all this stuff, and everybody was like, it was like a fad. Dogecoin, it was a fad, and everybody wanted to be on it. And when, like obviously that's an emotional investment because it's like a FOMO investment rather than like oh, I really want to and I care about this and I want to invest it. I believe in crypto. No, you should invest in what you believe in. If you believe that real estate is going to hold and that the real estate markets are good, people are moving to where you are, invest in real estate if you believe in it. If you believe in the security of your family, right? If you believe like, man, I really just more than anything, I want my family to be taken care of if anything happens to me, then you invest in life insurance if that's what you want. If you really care about um, like steady high yielding profits, then you invest with a good company into mutual funds. There's certain things that like different ways you can invest. But rules of investing is invest what you believe in. Um, do I believe in crypto? Hmm. I believe that it can be kind of beneficial.
I'm
I
not
don't believe.
getting a positive vibe, dude.
I know, right? I'm like realizing this as I'm saying it, but
That's just
I
my
mean,
thing with it though, is I haven't really met one person who can explain like I can meet people who can explain like a Roth IRA. I can meet someone who can explain like S&P 500. I meet like a lot of people who can explain like a lot of financial investments. But I can never really meet someone who gets really deep on the crypto that and makes it make sense to me. And I think it's kind of like what you said, like kind of like it was a little bit of a fad that gave it like a pop, and
yeah,
perhaps something else comes along later on down the line to give it another little pop and like kind of bring some wind to the market again, but I don't know. I feel like
Yeah.
it's like a risk.
I mean, essentially, all it really is it's another store of value. Like how you have, like you could have all this money or whatever, whatever. It's just numbers in a bank account. It's not physical paper. Like if someone has $500,000, they don't have 500,000 $1 bills. They have a store of value. So what you're buying into with crypto is that store of value. So it's like it's good in the sense of, like I said, if you have money that you just absolutely don't care about, you can diversify by putting it in there, and then it'll go up, it'll go down, it'll go up, it'll go down, it'll be volatile. Um, but it doesn't look like it's going away completely, which is good. You know, the fact that so many people have invested in, the fact that so many strong financial institutions, like banks, like governments and stuff like that, have invested in it, shows that it will be around. So I'm not worried about crypto completely like getting abolished or anything like that. The only thing I am worried about is the volatility of it. Now, you can track not you can track like trends, like I was saying, is what I was doing when I was super into crypto, and find like the relationships between the US dollar strength and the crypto market strength. And I was also looking at gold, and they're inverse. So when one gets stronger, the other gets weaker. When one gets,
Yeah.
it's inverse in that sense. So there are certain patterns and things that you can predict, and even like global things like war or
The news.
shortage of certain things. Yeah, like propaganda bias. All these things can affect markets and the sway of certain things. So
My
I mean,
brother
if
my
you're
brother was big into Forex for a while.
okay.
He was like trading Forex for quite a long time and tracking his candlesticks and stuff. And he was actually tracking Bitcoin for quite a while too. It does seem like Bitcoin. It almost seems like eventually will be somewhere similar. Like, doesn't it? Like, it's like eventually we'll probably have digital currency.
So you can right now. Bitcoin is now like a digital currency that you can buy certain things with and I guess trade, but you trade like your store of value, your amount of that, which like not everybody accepts. So that's the weird part. Like I can't go and pay my rent with Bitcoin. Um, if it's like an apartment and this and it's a big company, they're not going to accept that. Um, so it's going to take a long time for these things to catch on if they do. Um, if they don't, they don't. And it'll just become like more like a digital type of thing. But even with things like how the metaverse is getting to be some like it will be bigger in the future, but like Meta bought Facebook, Instagram, all these things are creating the metaverse. Bitcoin can be used like in there with like ETFs and stuff like that.
Damn, I can't.
You know, yeah, it's
I
not for
don't.
everyone.
I don't like thinking about the metaverse. I don't know why.
I'm with you, bro.
I'm not a big Zuckerberg type of fan, dude.
Me either.
That's probably gonna get my show ruined and canceled. They're just fucked myself. But I'm gonna be shadow
Hey,
banned. But like,
I'm shadow banned right now on Instagram.
are you really?
I am. I'm
Oh,
shadow banned.
because of all your posts.
Yeah, I'm posting right now about like what's going on with the genocide in Palestine. How like I'm just pro life and I don't want people to be killed and bombed. It's crazy, man. The amount of people that I see are seeing my stories are like drastically lower than what they usually are when I post something about like any gym I'm in or even just like an update about my life. It's so funny.
I'm kind of suspicious as well because, like not that I give a shit, and I'm not really huge on like social media, but like there's like a certain numbers balance that you're used to seeing. Like when you post something, like, you're kind of like, okay, like I usually get this about many people looking at my story or this many likes or this many comments, and like I'm like people that like I hang out with a lot and like usually see everything I post lately are like, no, I haven't seen that yet, or no, I didn't see that, or no, I didn't notice. And then like I'm
Mm.
kind of noticing the same thing, like, and I don't know, you never know if the algorithm just fucking changes overnight like it always does,
Yeah,
or
they've got AI controlling that shit now.
yeah, or if it's because like I do have some like I would call them semi-conservative like uh like news and what do you call them, like celebrities or whatever that I follow. And I'm like,
Sure.
maybe like once I started liking like Joe Rogan shit or like Patrick Bet David's podcast, like I'm seeing like a downtick. I wonder if it's like programmed. I wouldn't be surprised if it's programmed in the back end that like it
For sure it is.
flags certain accounts for being, you know, as they would probably state it, like right wing conspiracy theorists. But I don't know. Like I've gotten suspicious lately. Not that I care. Not that it's really gonna. I think it's just gonna be a phase. I think one day we'll eventually down the line, maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 12, but we'll look back at the 2020s and be like, God, that was a fucking mess.
Yeah.
Kind of like
We always do, right?
how people look at the 80s or whatever, is it the 70s or 80s, and they're like, God, that a lot of people are like, I did not like that time period. I think that's what we'll eventually be doing for this time period. Be like, damn, everyone hated each other. Damn,
Yeah.
everyone like just found reasons to be mad at each other. And
I hope
the
I
people,
hope we go in that direction.
I hope so too, man.
I
Like,
hope that people realize that like certain ways to be are just not the way to be, and we grow as like a human population. That would be nice. That would be.
and,
I'm looking forward to that.
and yeah, and as like you're kind of like you mentioned, like your family's from Palestine.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing what like a lot of hate and division does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Terrible.
it's disgusting and it's gross and like I don't know. It's just a weird dynamic and it's something like I told you before. Like I'm not very versed in, but and you know I feel like it's kind of like it's kind of like a tightrope for me because I don't want to say the wrong thing or be uneducated or unreasonable. But in my head, I feel like these are human beings and like what's being done it doesn't make sense. Like it's not right on either side. Like I don't think torturing babies or blowing people up is necessarily a diplomatic solution to very much at all,
100%, bro.
but
100%.
if this country and this country don't like each other, how come a bunch of strangers have to go outside and shoot each other over it? You know what I mean?
It's so yeah, and it's terrible. It's because people make money off of it, and they're not the people that are fighting each other.
That's got to be it. Exactly.
And
Like
that's what it is. Yeah.
you're going out and fighting for your country and you literally are fighting for your country to make money. It's really strange that all this shit's popping off and then you've got war generals and congressmen investing in weapon manufacturers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it
It's for me, it's like it's just so crazy to see the double standard, especially in this country, in the USA, of like how humanitarian activists and all these things they'll go to bat and protest and fight for the rights to have a man be able to change into a woman or a woman be able to change into a man or the rights to be able to be called whatever you are, and they call those basic human rights. But when certain people are denied food, water, electricity, the right to be who they are or say or the right to hold their flag, those are basic human rights that are being denied to people in the world. And now when that situation is brought up, those same people who are fighting for rights for either trans people or gay people or any other type of people, they're just absent or they don't see that point. And for me, it's like going on what you said, it's like it's 2023 now. We've had how many wars in the past in this world, and we've seen how they affect people and the generational trauma that they can affect. Every killing of an innocent person is wrong. Every
or for sure, man. Like
it's yeah, and it's like so
you
with
would think
this.
that we're past that in humanity or we're like
That's what I'm
above that,
saying.
you know?
It's like how can these people who are saying making all the laws saying that as a civilians we can't do this, we can't do that, we can't. So it's illegal here in the United States to just walk up someone and punch him in the face. Um, And if someone does that to you, so if someone walks up and punches you and punches your mom and punches your sister in the face, you can't take a gun and shoot them. That's illegal. Like you'll go to jail for shooting that person.
Uh-huh.
But that same government that's imposing those kinds of standards here in the US is saying that it's okay to go kill someone because someone attacked you. And it's just like, how are these same people making the laws for us and they don't follow those same laws?
Yeah,
Meaning the U.S. government.
it's very sad to see, man. And like it's like, did you watch the last UFC event? I'm sure, right?
Yep, I did.
It was like interesting too, because like I was around a crowd, and it's like people were like, "Oh, his name's Islam. His name's Islam," and it's like, yeah. But did you notice how like a lot of people after the fights they were just saying like peace, like stop the war, peace.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it wasn't like a lot of like separation, like fuck this side or fuck that side. It was like a lot of like, guys, can we please stop the useless killing?
yeah. And that's because like, and that's the terrible thing about this is like, the worst part of this is obviously the killing, but the propaganda and how Western media is portraying all of this because it's so malicious and so like
It's funny how
war,
Hawaii's forgotten about now too.
right? And Ukraine for completely forgotten about. And it's
What
like,
what about like the Ohio, the derailment, whatever happened with all those people and all that shit? Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
it's whatever they want you to focus on at that moment and whatever narrative they want to paint. And it's like, as much as they want you to believe this is a religious conflict, it's not Jewish versus Muslims at all. It's really not. It's in it's an apartheid government. It's a government versus um a people. It's really like Zionist Israeli government, which is just one sect in the Israeli government. They have other facets of the Israeli government that are completely against what's going on, and they're protesting in the state house there in Israel. But this Zionist governor, I mean, this Zionist PM, Netanyahu, it's him versus like Hamas, who is like this. Some people call them a terrorist group. Some people call them an organization or a liberation group for Palestine because they're basically they're not good guys, but they're doing the only thing possible for Palestinians right now is standing up for them and fighting back and protecting them. So that's kind of like the
yeah,
dilemma in there.
but like the brutality at which they did it, I don't feel like that doesn't sit well with me. You know
Oh,
what I
it's
mean?
terrible.
It's not like they
It's
went and attacked the government. They went and attacked like fucking weak, unarmed people, from what it seems like. And this is what I'm going off of, what I'm seeing and
yeah.
what they're
No, you're
showing.
right.
And keep in mind, in the back of my head, I know that this could all be false and I could be wrong at any moment. But from what I've seen, but I think that's the whole point, is they just want you to see the stuff and form an opinion. And once you start forming an opinion, you're going to build off of it. You're not going to go backwards, you know?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if,
And the dangerous part is like they only tell you certain facts to shape a certain narrative. So that opinion that you're building off of is based on what they want you to
right.
build it off of. And if you really look at a lot of international news, how I've been doing my research is by looking at news either coming out of Al Jazeera, which is like either Egypt, or coming out of Ireland, or coming out of the UK. I've been seeing a lot of news articles there, Scotland, certain things like that. If you read these news articles, they can give you an unbiased opinion of what's going on in the conflict because they don't have a stake in the race. You know, they're not the U.S. They're not. They're biased. And the general consensus is, and this is what it should be, like according to the UN, is that regardless of a conflict between two nations, there are certain international laws that you can't you can't break those laws, or it's a war crime, which is denying people basic human rights, the right to food, the right to electricity, the right to running water, these rights. If you deny people those rights, that's a war crime, and that's what's happening. Um,
Maybe it's
Now,
on purpose.
it's by design, it's on purpose because it's an occupation. It's when people call it a war, they're kind of mischaracterizing it.
There's a
Um,
lot of wars in history where it seems like one side is almost like 300. Like you
yeah,
send out 300 soldiers to go spy or to go for a walk, and once they get attacked, then that triggers a war. You know,
yeah,
like, and it what you were just saying about the news and how you get your news and stuff. It was kind of the same thing with Hawaii. They kept talking about on Hawaii this fire and talking about I don't know, basically almost like they made it seem like a wildfire came out of nowhere, burned all sorts of shit and dipped out and it was over. And but if you're watching, like, what I was seeing is a lot of people on TikTok, like a lot of people in Hawaii on TikTok were like posting like all sorts of shit that did not fit with like what the news was telling everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like, these are people who live there and people who are there right now. And they're like, look at this street, it's blocked. How am I going to get away? Or
Yeah.
look at this, why is this here? Or how did fire jump through 4 lanes of traffic or 4 lanes of highway with barriers? You know, like all sorts of crazy shit. Why
Yeah.
is,
And not burn the asphalt at all.
yeah, and how's this car, the metal from a car is melting and like running down the street, but the paint on the car is still there. Like, it's just a lot of weird shit.
Crazy. Yeah. I saw a lot of that too. And it really makes you wonder about like what we're being told in the narrative that our government's painting. They did it with COVID. They lied to us many times about COVID, about what we should do, and they imposed certain sanctions if you didn't do this and didn't do that. It's like, why, what agendas, how could you possibly be profiting off all this? And that's what they're doing. Um, but yeah, man, world is in shambles.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it does feel gloomy, but
Yeah,
I try
especially
to
right
just,
now.
I try to just have faith that make the best decision I can for myself every day.
And that's all it is, right? You got to just literally like start from within and work outwards. Like make sure that you're okay in your heart and your mind, your soul. Make sure your families are okay, your loved ones, your friends. And yeah, that's the how you got to live it, I think, with all the crazy shit that's going on. Live it from within out. Keep it close.
Yeah, I mean, if there wasn't bad day, or if every day was a good day, how would you know? You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
and like
That's life, right?
the one thing, and it's kind of shitty and sad to say, but one thing about what's going on over there is like having a shitty day over here, and then thinking about all the videos kind of like that you've been posting or that I've seen about what's going on over in your home or
Yeah.
your family's home. It's like I could be going through that. You know what I mean? Like,
Bro, I think about that all the time. And it's completely changed the way I'm thinking, especially with what's going on. They have 3,000 kids that have been bombed. Those are innocent kids. They've done nothing. They're like children. And I'm thinking like, if I'm going for a run when I'm tired and I'm like thinking, all right, when should I stop? And I'm thinking like, damn, or if I like have a little injury or something, I'm like, damn, that hurts. And I'm thinking about what I've seen, from like these videos and stuff, like children covered in blood and burned and this and that. And I'm like, dude, whatever we're all experiencing here, it's nothing compared to that. So just like be grateful.
right? Like, it's kind of helped me settle into my job. I'm like, man, what a fucking shitty day. Like, I'm so sick of doing something I don't love. I need to get into something that I actually love and I'm passionate about, and like I'm excited to push success for, rather than forcing myself to push success for. And then like I think about shit like that, and unfortunately, it sucks that it's going on and stuff. But the silver lining is it's a good opportunity for you to reflect on yourself and realize you are having a good day.
Yeah.
Because that's really bad. That's really really bad. But there's also people having worse days than that too. Like
100%.
I mean, it's all a spectrum and it's all opinion. But like, there's women working cobalt mines with babies on their back. There's trying to get you the new iPhone. There's a lot of bad shit out there, and as much as like people like you and I like would love to help. And like, as much as it sucks, like, dude, I still think about the Hawaii shit a lot. Like, imagine having your home fucking burnt down, and
Yeah.
then people are trying to buy your land for pennies on the dollar. Like, what? What the?
Crazy, huh?
And
Like how
I've
can
been
that not be premeditated?
over there. I spent time over in Lahaina and
Okay.
in Hana, and it's on the same island, Maui.
Sure.
I'm I remember seeing the alarm systems, the state of the art alarm systems everywhere. I remember hearing from the locals and shit about it. It's like they have flash floods, they have a volcano, they've got all these reasons to have those, and that's like kind of like their safety system. Like if you're hiking, um, in the woods or the wilderness or going through the bamboo forest, like you're kind of told like there's certain spots you got to be careful. If you hear them sirens, you got to get out of there because flash floods could just take you off the mountain, off the island. And
Yikes.
yeah, and a lot of the highways, Lahaina, it was more like touristy, or Hana was more like, you're kind of more secluded. You're in the middle of it's kind of like Hawaii's boonies.
Sure.
And I remember driving around there and just being like, man, this place is gorgeous. This place is beautiful. But a lot of people there, they hold on to their land. Like, there's people in Hana who have acres of land, like in the middle of this island in the middle of the ocean, and they just own, and they're very like territorial over it. Like they're
It's
very,
their mana, right?
yeah, they're
That's what they
very.
call it. Their mana.
Yeah, exactly. Like, dude, I was hiking a trail, and I bent over and picked up a rock, and I was looking at it. I had no idea there's anyone around me at all, and I'm like looking at it because they got like unique like lava stone and like all this kind of cool pebbles and shit.
Sure.
And I like kind of like threw the rock down, and it bounced off the side of and it kind of rolled down. Like, we're on a cliff, like there's water to like the right of me. I could have like jumped, probably like 4 stories down into some rocks in the water. And these two dudes pop out of fucking nowhere, bro. Pissed. They're pissed at me. They're like, "Hey man, that's my island. That's our island, man. You don't do that shit, man. You could throw." Like, they were pissed because in their eyes that was a part of their land that I just threw in the ocean.
Sure.
And I looked at him and I said, "I'm sorry." Like, I was reasonable. I was like, plus I'm like, dude, there's two guys and I'm on the side of a cliff. This is kind of shaky,
Yeah.
shaky
Yeah.
situation, bro. I'm
Let's
in the
be
middle of
careful
nowhere.
there.
Yeah. And I was like, I mean, they were really cool. Like, they were like, I understood. Like, I was like, yeah, man, I get it. I didn't mean any disrespect. Like, your island's beautiful. Didn't even think about it. It was a mistake. And he was talking about like how people have done that and it's like hit people in the head. Like, he's just talking about it's like their land, like throwing their land away. And I was like, I won't do it again. No disrespect. And then like they turned into cool ass people. They're like, all right, man, mahalo. And like just like kind of dapped it up and like talked for a minute. And then they like went around their own way on the trail and I went my own way. And I was like, they really respect their shit, man. And
Yeah.
to know that that guy is, there's a good chance that he lives in a house that his family has owned the land for like years and years and years and years, and like generational wealth, because that's the only way they can obtain it. It's kind of like, damn, like I personally resonate with that because like I seen them, I met the people, I see how much they appreciate their island, their land, and then you just have like someone come try to take it for pennies. It's like, fuck, man. I feel bad
It,
for them people. And
100%. It's sacred land to them. It's literally sacred to their ancestors, to their people.
yeah, and then to have like, like people you're talking about, like innocent kids and shit, man. Like that's no go land.
Yeah, and dude, basically the same deal. It's like it's been generational land for a long, long time, and that's why like there's dispute over it. It's because it's like it means so much to them. It's their ancestors' land. Their ancestors' land. So it's like how can people are like they're crazy for not leaving. I mean, obviously they're blocked in, but like that's where would you go? It's your land. Like if everybody was like, all right, Hawaii, you have to completely leave because we're gonna bomb everything. They're gonna be like, where are we gonna go? The ocean? No, like this is where we live. So it's like I think Westerners need to really understand that. I don't think there's that same sense of pride in our land here in the USA. Maybe like farmers and like Texans who own a lot of like land like that will feel that, but like that's land can be very sacred to cultures. I think we need to keep that in mind and 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 preserve that as a nation. Like look at
Yeah,
Native Americans.
I feel. Yeah, I mean, damn, yeah, that hits hard too.
That's like case in point. Their land was completely taken and stolen from them, and now we pay them reparations or we give them certain like free schooling, free healthcare and stuff on the reservations in this country. But that's not even close to like what they deserve. They deserve their freaking land.
But so like, what's the solution on that? Like, like we grow, we learn. I didn't like
At
you
the
didn't make that
expense of Native
decision.
Americans,
I
though.
didn't make that decision. Like, is anyone alive in your family, personally, right now? Any of them? Any of the ones that made that decision to do that?
In Palestine?
No, I'm just saying
Oh,
like
in Native Americans? My
Native
ancestors
American.
were overseas, brother.
Yeah, yeah.
They're in Palestine and Italy, but no. Like I know what you mean. Like it wasn't
It's
even our families or our ancestors that even did it. But yeah,
and,
we're here.
and granted, I understand the argument. Like, well, it doesn't matter. Like, my grandparents had stuff taken from them, therefore, we're not as well off as we would be. Therefore, it's time for someone to suffer, like my grandparents suffered. But it's like, okay, but like, is that really going to solve anything, or is that going to go back and forth forever?
I think there'll be generational resentment.
Exactly.
Um,
Like,
because if like so imagine we're here in the United States living our life the way we've been living it forever, and then a country comes in that's much stronger than us that like we have no chance against, and they're like, hey guys, um, we're gonna be doing things differently. Like the same laws that you guys are gonna be accustomed to are not the same laws that are going to be law. Like we're going to change all the laws, and you guys have to adhere to them. Like we'd have issues with it. We'd be like, no, like we want to adhere to the laws that we're used to, like the ones that we govern ourselves by. Um, so if they did that, we wouldn't be okay with it, and that's what's going on here with the Native Americans as well. Like we, I mean, they have their reservations where they can have like their own, I guess, law, but we took all their land, and then we're like, oh, you guys have to follow U.S. laws. Like you guys, and that was like, they're like, no, like we need our secret land with our own laws. And I mean, it's terrible what happened. We built a country based on that.
yeah,
I love America, bro. I love living here. It's the best. I've traveled the world. I've been to so many countries. This is the best place to live, bar none, bar none.
I believe
America
it.
is amazing. It's like the Ritz of the Ritz, you know. Granted, there are other beautiful places, but like the freedoms that you can have in this country, they're unparalleled.
And that's why people get so passionate about like everything, is because they respect the freedom part. That is like what we're supposed to stand for. And I think that, like, as you're saying, like proud of the land, I think Americans are proud on different levels, you know. it
Yeah, no,
you,
for sure.
it's maybe it's not like I'm proud of, Wisconsin, or I'm proud of Largo, Florida, but like more so like I'm proud, like, to fight for my freedom or what I think is right. And it's a lot to balance.
It is because like I feel that too, and I love that, but like I don't feel that our government is enforcing like that the same freedoms that like we say that we can have here. Like we're just doing the complete opposite in other countries, you know. We're literally going into like multiple other countries, whether they be in Europe and freaking the Middle East or wherever, and we say it's like a democracy that we're trying to impose, but it's really imperialism. We really are trying to like grow and take over, you
It's
know,
how
with
much
influence.
can we spread ourselves? Like, I'd be thinking, like, all right, now we're involved in this, now we're involved in this country, now we're involved in this country. Like, can we really spread ourselves like that? Like,
Financially, no, we
sheesh.
can't. And the more that they're like, no, 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 we can, we'll just print more money and give it. It's like, okay, but that devalues the whole U.S. economy.
Yeah.
You know, like all this money that we're spending on either Israel, Ukraine, that we have spent previously in Iraq and Afghanistan, all this money is all money that we could have used to make America um, more innovative, better infrastructure, better education, like free healthcare, things like that. So many things could have been done with that money, but they don't allocate it towards it. And it's like every other nation focuses on their nation. And yes, they have strict borders. They have things like this that are like you can't just cross over and live in a country because you feel like it. You know, you have to go through um, the process of becoming a citizen. And America is just too lax with all that stuff. So
Mhm.
it's like I don't know. It's a slippery slope that we have here.
Yeah. I imagine it's not an easy solution, and it almost sometimes feels like we don't even take the time to find the right solution.
Yeah,
Like, it's almost like there's so many problems that we'll just hit a little bit on every problem rather than focus everything on one. It's like we'll just tap here, check it out. Say, okay, I'll do this, but never do it. Okay, I'll do this. I don't know. It's got to be hard at the top, I imagine.
100%. Yeah. Imagine making all the decisions for so many people like that. It's close to impossible because you never ever will please
Everybody.
everyone. Yeah.
Shit, if you've ever managed more than 5 people, you can't please them all. So I
Yeah.
can only imagine millions,
But
billions.
that's why I feel like if you're in a position like that, more than pleasing people or making sure this guy's happy or that guy's happy, I feel like the goal should be a general improvement for the people's lives, regardless of like whether it makes someone happy or this or that. Like taking utils, which is like the measurement of happiness in microeconomics. They use the unit of utils to measure happiness. Taking utils completely out of the equation, just go by basic like necessities, things like that, things that people need, and improve that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
That's when you'll start to see your nation increase. Like, don't make like the new Corvette better or this or that. Make like we said, education better. Make transportation to educational facilities easier and better. You know, give inner city schools better teachers, better facilities. You know, that's what we need. Things like that. Infrastructure, build better bridges, build better roads, you know, things like that. Better centers for people who are low income, more low income housing, things like that, that should be built, subsidized through the US government. Those projects are completely getting thrown out the window for foreign interest that doesn't even benefit us. It benefits other countries. I don't know. I have
It
problems with the
makes
way that our government's run.
it makes you wonder what's really going on, or why we would make that decision.
Yeah, it's like, don't you want to see America be a better nation? I mean, obviously, I love our nation, but like we can always improve. Don't you want to see a better life for your people?
My kids, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like, I don't know how the government doesn't see simple things. And a lot of the times they always say it's like it's a complex situation. There's two sides to this. It's very complex, and it's at this level it's very, I understand, but really like it's basic. It's like if you're in a room with 40 different families, right? You're gonna take care of your kids first, aren't you?
Yeah.
You are. Yeah, you're not gonna take care of, oh, that person and that kid's. Oh yeah, but that kid only has like one finger, so I'm gonna, all the food that I was gonna give to my kid, I'm gonna give to her because she has, no, it's not like that. It's, you have to take care of your own home, your own family, your own nation first. I'm just a huge believer in that, and the fact that every other nation agrees and does that and sees that, and America can't come to grips with that, that's like a big problem for us, especially in our foreign matters. Every other nation right now at the UN is bringing these topics up, saying, why can't the US just worry about the US? Why do they have to have their hands in everyone's baskets? They need influence in every country. Why? Why?
Maybe
Um,
that's what I'm wondering. Like, why?
that's what everyone's wondering. The UN that's a huge topic right now. Everyone's asking why. And
And you're seeing this on the UN news?
oh yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Russian Putin just came out with a long statement the other day about how the U.S. has to be careful about their involvement in matters that doesn't concern them, and why are they doing certain things? Why are they giving money to? I mean, they're giving money to Ukraine, billions and billions and billions of dollars. They're giving money to Israel, billions and billions of dollars. Um, they have like certain agendas and secret treaties that they sign that they benefit from, and they don't tell. But people who follow along, they track these things, and every time that they're asked about it or this or that, they're such a superpower that they evade or they don't answer or they just kind of like sweep it under the rug, or
I know
I don't know.
we're very smug.
Yeah.
It's very disheartening to watch people ask questions to like press secretaries and stuff, and like if it's a question that they want to answer, they answer it, and if it's a question they don't want to answer, it's like all the excuses not to even talk about it.
100,
And
or they answer it with another question.
like
And
imagine
you're
like
like, what?
imagine doing that to a kid. Like if you're treating a kid like that, like a room full of kids, and you're like telling them like, yes honey, you can go over there and do that, yes honey, and then a kid comes up with a question like, why does this work like this? You're like, I'm not getting into that.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Imagine like, I don't know, it's just
I feel
imagine
like a
if you
lot of adults do that.
I know it's almost like we're not as mentally developed as we think we are. I don't know.
Yeah, no, dude. Yeah, it's because we're programmed from our freaking government. It's a trickle down effect.
It's fucking, like I said, it's probably hopefully a phase. Hopefully it doesn't last forever. That's like hook, line, and sinker. If you get someone in there that figures out how to make it last forever, like a lot of dynasties have done, or a lot of leaders have done, that's what's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, we just need to have a general respect for our president, a general respect for our leader, like completely. Because so as much as some people loved Trump when he was president, the country was divided into people who supported him and people who completely and utterly hated him. There was no real middle ground there. It was either you were a hardcore Trump supporter or you like hated Trump.
And look how
And
it's grown. It's kind of reflected into everything.
yeah,
Like if you don't agree with somebody about one thing, you're automatically like the complete opposite person, and you're completely against them, and you're an idiot. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it doesn't
All your
matter if it's
validity and every other argument has just went out the window the second you say something like that, right?
exactly like
Yeah.
you could be with something but against something else. But if you're against what, like it seems to be the trend right now, is if you're against what somebody thinks on one topic, then you're automatically the other supporter of another political party, when it's like, no, I'm actually just stating like I don't believe in that. Like I don't, it doesn't make me a Trumper or a liberal. It makes me just like, that's my opinion on this one subject. And that flies over people's heads nowadays. Like you can't be that way. It's impossible.
Isn't it wild how people cannot accept that?
It's
They
completely
can't
wild. And
accept that
maybe
if you, yeah, they can't accept you having a certain viewpoint on one topic. You have to either be one way or the other way. I can't wrap my head around that.
I can't either. And I've got people that I love dearly and think like that. And you know what? It's like, one day we'll come back together or something. I don't know. It's just a weird thought process to see like two groups of people. And it's like, you ever watch South Park? Have you ever
Oh
seen
yeah.
like the turd sandwich versus the douchebag? Like they're like
I think so, yeah.
they're running for president, and it's like literally a turd sandwich is running for president, and the other one is running as a douchebag, and everyone gets on board whether they want to vote for a turd sandwich to run the country or a douchebag. And it's like that's kind of how I feel like we're stuck right now.
Dude, that's hilarious.
And
It's
it's
so
like,
true.
if you don't support one, then automatically you support the other, and there's no possible way you could be anywhere in between. And it's just kind of sad that we've taken the free thinking out of a lot of shit.
Yeah. And even taking it to the next step of not even just being like, oh, they support the other party, is like, no, because they support the other party, we have to wish bad on them. And
Exactly.
it's
It's
like,
you're only
why?
allowed to
Wait,
hate
wait,
one
why?
side.
Yeah. It's
Like,
like because you believe this, not only like are you like not what I believe, but bad things should happen to you. It's like
yeah.
that's just whoa, that's
Oh
taking it
yeah,
like
dude.
to
Like
a new
like
level.
like during COVID, hearing people who support one party wishing the other party who died, like if someone died of COVID during COVID, well, they supported the other party, they deserved it. And then
It's
on
like
the other side, being like someone who died of like COVID or got the vaccine or got injured or whatever, it's like, well, they deserve to die because they don't agree with me. And it's like, whoa, like back it up, man. Like
yeah, back it way the fuck up.
just because somebody supports this or supports the other side, like, man, you don't have to be the type of human being to be like, well, I don't agree with that, so that person deserves to be sick and die, or that person deserves a stroke, or you know what I mean? It's
Yeah. The
like
lines between politics and humanitarianism, they're getting blurred.
it
And
really
it's like
is.
really humanitarianism. Oh Jesus, it has to come first.
And I hate how it's invaded sports, bro.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
It's like, why? I know everyone I know wants to sit down and watch football. They don't want to watch Taylor Swift. They don't want to watch like politics. They don't want like any like virtue signaling. They just want to watch a fucking ball fly through the air and somebody try to catch it.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like,
without anything attached to it. Thank you very much.
yeah, it's like decompression time. And it's like someone at the top figured that out and figured out that's the best time to start pushing this shit. Like, don't, you know what I mean? Don't take advantage of that vulnerability and keep pushing it. It's just,
100%. Yeah, they see the amount of eyeballs on the games, and they're like, this is our chance.
yeah, let's get them involved.
Yeah.
Well, hey, man, probably got to cut it off here.
Sure.
I'm running behind. I do really appreciate it. I kind of wanted to close it out. Like, what's the name of your school? Do you have a name picked out? Do you have any information you want to share on it?
Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna
the
definitely be
school,
stopping by.
fuck yeah. Yeah, I can't wait, man. It's going to be called Unity MMA. We're going to be at 11141 US 19 in Clearwater.
How
It's
fitting.
Yeah,
Unity.
I know. I know, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's because that's what I'm about, you know. I want a place where everybody from all walks of life, no matter what nationality, race, anything, what your history and background is, I want you to be able to come to my place and feel comfortable training and getting a good workout and learning how to defend yourself and the people you care about. And
You sound like one of
with
them
that,
conspiracy theorists.
maybe I got a couple of conspiracies. But no,
uh,
yeah, it's gonna be good. Y'all can come
what's the
by.
info again? I'm sorry I cut you off. I just like the name. I really liked it.
No, yeah, it's Unity MMA 11141 US 19 Clearwater. We'll be opening in like mid December, but grand opening January right after New Year's. And if you need financial advice or help with real estate, I'm a financial advisor. You can get at me on Instagram or you can get at me. My number is 978-828-2221. I can help you with real estate or financial advice or helping you learn how to kick someone's butt.
That's amazing, dude. What what advice would you give, like, say someone like me, like, who might be interested one day in just maybe coaching MMA guys, like being a grappling coach? Like, do you have any
Um,
ins with that, or do you have like any? That's a
any
direction I think I'd like to go one day.
Yeah, I would say obviously stay up to date on your craft, but if it's something that you want to do it sooner rather than later. That's the advice I would give because man, you never know what's going to happen in life or how long we're going to be here, and I mean, in order to get to a point where you feel like confident coaching someone, you have to have been in this sport for a while. And if you've been in this sport for a while, don't waste time if you want to do it, you know, because the body only has such a time period. You can do other things while the body is not able to train. But while you have the strength and the energy and the skill to and the technique to be able to show people and demonstrate with them, I would say do it now. That's the advice that I was given.
That's fun. Let me
Yeah.
know if you need got any fighters who need a coach or need some work for
I
the
will
ground
for
game.
sure. I
Um,
definitely will.
Also, you got room for a podcast studio back there? Just asking for a friend.
A podcast studio in the gym?
Yeah, I'm just playing with you. Just
Maybe a
asking for a
tiny one.
friend.
maybe my tiny apartment.
Yeah, we could put we could just take a couple bags out and put a microphone and a computer. We're good.
Yeah, dude, we could do it right there on the mess.
Oh, that'd be cool too.
Yeah, you know.
All right, man. Well, I hope to see you soon in the gym and get some work in. And thanks for
Absolutely,
doing
brother.
this.
Yeah, we'll link up soon. Of course, my pleasure.
For sure, brother. You have a peaceful day.
And you as well, my man.
I think the podcast is fucking sick. If you're listening to it and you're like, I don't know if I want to listen to the next episode of this podcast, you're probably a bitch ass. You need to listen to the next episode of this podcast and keep listening to it. Because my friends down here are trying to make shit happen. And we're
That's
going to make some shit happen.